Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. I'm glad you're here this morning. We appreciate your viewership, and I hope you enjoyed that video yesterday of all those kids bass fishing. That was really cool on a Thursday night in the summertime, and in the summer getting ready for school. And school is open now. All our counties, just be careful driving. Be looking out for the kids. All right, let's get started with our weather, brought to us by Gulf Coast Air Conditioning. Drew Pollard's hard-working crew taking care of our everyday comfort needs. High today, 87, low 79. It's been stuck on that for about 2 weeks now. Our water temperature at the end of the pier, brought to us by Maranta Coffee Company, Ariel Payne's group, and we're looking at, right now, it's 85.3, and I'm just hoping to cool down a little bit more as we're getting ready for scallop season this weekend. River reading brought to us by the good folks at Panama City Coca-Cola. Take a look at the Apalachicola at Bunchtown, 9.3. It's been leveled off now. It may start dropping in a day or two, but 9.3. The Choctaw Caravelle, it is a 3.7, and it's going to start going up again. It really got high, then went down to 3.7, but going up. And our tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn. We're looking at good tide today. We're looking at neap tide today. Good tides are coming up. Good news are coming up. Our marine forecast, how about southwest at 10 to 15? Southwest. Let's take a break. We'll be right back with our special guest. Welcome back, and a familiar face here. Always glad to have Officer Chris Bowley with the Fish and Wildlife Commission. Well, thank you for coming on.
Absolutely.
I'll get a lot of compliments when he's coming on about all the information he shares. He's got notes of it. So, Chris, how you been doing?
Pretty good.
Been staying busy.
It has been busy. Summer was busy for us. You know, lots of people out on the water doing everything. But now that school started, it's kind of coming to an end. But we're always busy. There's always something going on.
Always something going on outdoors. I know it. So, what do you notice? What do you got?
Well, last time I was on here, red snapper, the historic red snapper season was open, but it did close at the end of last month. So red snapper is closed right now, but it will be back open soon. So y'all won't have to wait too long. It's going to open back up September 1st, and it's going to run for 2 weeks. So it'll be September 1st through the 14th. Then after that will be those 3-day weekends that I've mentioned a couple times, all the way through Christmas. But make sure you check the dates, because there are some extra days you get, like you're going to get Veterans Day. Around Thanksgiving, you're going to get a couple extra days, and around Christmas as well. Just make sure that you're looking at those days, because you don't want anyone to be, out of season. I know the season's kind of, it'll be on, off. So just make sure you're checking those dates. But every weekend through Christmas after September 14th, y'all will be good to go to do some more snapper fishing. And I know all of us were out there that last weekend when it closed, and everyone, people were still bringing in some pretty big snappers and following the law, so that was encouraging for us.
Yeah, it was a good season. It continues too. So but you got to keep up those dates. It's sort of, if you're like me, you got to write down on a calendar and put them in. I've got red marks on mine. So.
Yeah. And speaking of seasons, with kind of the summer season ending and school gearing back up, right around the corner is hunting season. I know, yesterday I was at Walmart and they were already setting out pallets of corn and all that. So while y'all are gearing up, getting ready for hunting season, I just want to remind you, if you're going out to your lease and, putting out food plots and whatnot, just make sure you really familiarize yourself with your lease, whether it's one you've been on for years or maybe you're on a new lease this year, you're going to be hunting somewhere you haven't hunted before. Make sure you really familiarize yourself with the boundaries, where you can hunt, where you can't hunt. There's lots of good apps out there, whether it's the Property Appraiser or Onyx. I'm sure a lot of y'all use Onyx. If you don't have it and you're gonna be hunting, it's a great app. It shows you, different property lines, who the owners are, all that kind of stuff, because you really do not want to be trespassing while hunting. Every year we get a lot of trespassing calls during hunting season, and we want to see those go down. And not only is trespassing will get you in trouble, but trespassing with a firearm, it even enhances the charge. Yeah. So we want to make sure we avoid all that. And also too, leading up to hunting season, where you're going to be hunting, whether it's D1 or D2. There's some different rules. I know there's probably going to be some more information coming out soon as far as if there are any changes. Like last year in the CWD zone, you're able to take doe all season. This leading up to this, our website, they were asking hunters, I don't know if any of y'all saw the emails, I know I mentioned it, with suggestions for changes. So if any of those changes do get implemented, make sure you're checking our social media and our website to see if any rules are going to be changing leading up to hunting season, because they might be, exciting changes. So just make sure you keep an eye out for that, and you familiarize yourself as we lead up to the season.
You mentioned the trespassing situation, and over the years, the last 10 years especially, with the cameras on people's property, that sort of enhances the opportunity to catch them. Because and it really, and every year, I promise you, this fall on Facebook or something, you're going to see, do you know who this person is? And because the people have been doing it, so it's really helped a lot.
Absolutely, and if you're able to get additional cameras, we always recommend not only put a camera on your feeder, but also put one on points of entry into your property or lease. We get a lot of times where gates get broken, locks get cut, you see tire marks and everything, but we don't have any cameras to see it. So, we're having to do old school detective work on looking at tire treads and all that. But, if you can set it up somewhere where if there are any vehicles coming in where you can read license plates, anything like that, that'll help us be able to catch people that are trespassing on your property. So if you're able to get additional cameras, make sure you put them strategically at points of entry, things like that, so you can see who's coming in and out of your property if anyone is trespassing.
And that's a big deal. It really is. Is. Okay, let's see. We got about a minute. We got what? Something short for a minute.
Yeah, sure. Just in a couple days, Scallop opens in St. Joe Bay.
Let's wait and talk about that.
All right.
Let's take a break now.
We'll get into all that.
Okay. All right. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Here with the Fish and Wildlife Officer, Public Information Officer, Chris Boley. But while we're talking about hunting, I want to go and mention this. Ken Paramore, now this group, they've been with us. He runs this group. They've done such a great job. Bay County Longbeards, folks, the banquet is this Friday at First United Methodist Church, 6 o'clock. There's information there. Try to make this is a big deal. You can register online. You can call Ken. Bay County Longbeards. I've been to a lot of these meetings. I can't make it this weekend, but I would definitely want to support this. So check out Bay County Longbeards with Ken Paramore, former FWC Captain Ken Paramore. Okay, so we were talking about scalloping coming up.
Yes, so on the 16th, scallop season is going to open in St. Joe Bay. So I know it's a real exciting time. Scalloping is one of the most fun things you can do, especially with your family too. It doesn't take too much effort. You can swim down and get them snorkeling. It's a great time to be out on the water, but it's also a time that there's lots of boats out there, lots of boats zipping around, and a lot of people in the water. So if you're going to be out there, make sure that you have a dive flag, that it's going to be at the highest point on your vessel, be able to be seen 360. And if you're operating a vessel, even if you're not going scalloping during this time, just be aware there's going to be a lot of people in the water. You're going to see those dive flags. If you come within 100 yards of a dive flag, you got to come down to idle speed. There's going to be so many people in the water. Sometimes, people are in the water, they don't realize how far away they are from their boat. So just make sure you keep your head on a swivel out there. We want to avoid boating accidents and prop strikes and those kinds of things. But if you have never done it before, I highly recommend it. We were talking about it. It's so much fun. It's a great time.
We be on the lookout, Bolo, for the pontoon boats, because they don't have brakes on them and no telling who's going to be driving them. So if they get close to you, just sort of be careful, be ready. But we're going to talk about it some more later on this week about the importance of it. But it's Gail and I were talking. This will be our 53rd summer scalloping together, and it's going to. We're so looking forward to it. So. I'm gonna see. I've already talked to some of y'all. I'm getting scouting reports and all kind of stuff. So it's cool. It's a big deal to a lot of folks. But thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been talking about seasons this morning, and kind of summer season ended, gearing up for hunting season. But there's another big season that we're about to be in, or we might even already be in, that everyone needs to think about, and that's hurricane season. I know it's not the most fun thing to talk about, but as Floridians, I know we're all used to hurricanes. It's not a time to get complacent. I know I've been through hurricanes, I'm sure all of y'all have, but you always want to be keeping up with what the Department of Emergency Management and the National Weather Service is putting out, because we're going to be in the thick of it, and we live in a coastal area, so lots of water. So make sure you're checking on things like if you have a generator, if there has been fuel sitting in it since last hurricane season, you're probably going to want to flush that out if it wasn't non-ethanol fuel. Sometimes that ethanol can separate after a while and the gas is no good. So make sure you're checking all that kind of stuff. Now's the time to start thinking about it, because you don't want to get caught in the middle of it and then all of a sudden generators are sold out. You can't get carburetors, gas is low. But we really harp on the safety of hurricane season because, these things, like any storms, right? We've seen them where they pop up quick and they raise to a Category 4 out of nowhere. And, I went down to Tampa last year for the hurricane that hit, and the destruction and everything, it humbles you when you see it, and, houses flooded. So please just make sure you're keeping an eye out, thinking about hurricane season as it's starting to come up. If you have a vessel that is on a dock, if you live on the water and you have a vessel on dock, make sure you tie it up properly, especially if you don't have a floating dock. You want to make sure you give enough slack to where that boat can rise and fall with the water level, because if you don't, next thing you know, you might have a boat tipped over or the line's too tight. I know as FWC we're going to be pushing out some videos soon that relate to hurricane safety, and especially when it comes to vessels. If you have a boat that you keep out at anchor, make sure you have the proper anchor that is for the proper size of your vessel, because every year we see these boats getting drug all around. It's like they're playing ping pong out there. So with hurricane season upon us, I know we're all excited thinking about snapper season, dove season, right around the corner, deer and migratory bird. We're only a couple months away from wood and teal early, so that's all very exciting. I know hurricane season isn't the types of seasons we get excited for, but it is a very important one.
Yeah. That's a good point.
And with that, like I said, we got dove, teal and wood is in September. So it's only a couple months away. Well, August, September, next month. And migratory bird, if you're going to be doing any duck hunting, dove hunting, anything like that, is probably the most regulated type of hunting you can do. Make sure you have your federal migratory bird stamp. It's actually a physical stamp, but they have e-stamps now. So you can have that on your phone just like our licenses. Make sure you have all the proper hunting licenses, the Florida migratory bird permit. Make sure your shotgun's plugged. There's lots of rules, and I mentioned corn earlier. Make sure you're not putting out corn or any sort of thing for any sort of migratory bird, because that is a big no-no, and we see it every year, unfortunately. So lots of rules with migratory bird, but it's getting exciting. Next time I'm on next month, we'll probably be doing a whole breakdown of everything. But go ahead and start thinking about that stuff if.
And even if you don't put out corn, if you go to duck field and somebody else put it out, you're still responsible. So you got to be careful of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, make sure absolutely. If you're going somewhere that's new, that you haven't hunted before, or hey, my friend of a friend of a friend says I have an extra spot, just make sure you really look at the ground, make sure it's not baited. And also too, it's especially with doves, they're flying everywhere, people are shooting. Make sure. Firearm safety is a top priority. Make sure everyone is standing somewhere where they're not going to be shooting in the direction of another. I know it can be exciting that dove flies up and you're running after it and you get excited, but just make sure firearm safety is probably the biggest thing that that we want to harp on going into hunting season, because once that bullet flies, you're responsible for where it goes. So you don't want to pepper your best friend and then have them be able to hold something over you for the rest of your life. So
yeah, that's true. That's true.
What else we got? So when it comes to hurricanes, like I mentioned, the last thing I always try to tell people is a lot of people will think, oh, well, I'll be able to sit there, help will come. But if there's a hurricane or bad storm going on, we are not able to respond to you. If it's too bad to where you're not able to leave, more than likely we're not going to be able to get to you either. So if there is an evacuation order or anything like that, please adhere to it. The Florida Department of Emergency Management, they'll always put out stuff on guidelines and where you are. Please listen to what they have to say, because in those types of situations, and not even hurricane season, if you're going out on the boat and it's really bad weather, you want to make sure all that stuff, because more than likely, if it's too bad to where you're in trouble and not able to navigate through it, more than likely we won't be able to either. And then we'll have even bigger problem on our hands with a bunch of us out there and potentially even more search and rescue. Yeah. So just make sure that you don't want to be caught in a situation where it's so bad that not even emergency services can respond to you.
Yeah, and the two big ones we've had that really stand out, of course, Hurricane Opal in 1995 with the water up to here, and then of course Hurricane Michael came the other way with the wind blowing all the trees down. So we've been, personally, I've been hit on both sides of my house. And it is humbling, and like you say, the force and power of nature. And when they say evacuate, a lot of old timers say, well, I've been through them before, but it's a lot different now. So, and we're going to talk about hurricane a lot more, but on their end, talking about the boat. You want, if you can, take your boat off the end of the dock and put it on a trailer if you can. If it's small enough to do that. If not, you know, the places, intercoastal and different places, the old timers used to put boats. And but we got caught last time because when Michael came out of north, everybody was anchored for facing that wind the other way, and really that's how we lost the Florida Queen and those boats. The wind came in different ways. So just be aware of it. So that's a good point. I know, and y'all can't go out there. They won't allow you to go out there to rescue people until it's safe.
Exactly. So, you know, if the conditions, you know, because we have boats just like y'all, and if the conditions are too bad to where our boats can't make it, then you know, we'll have to hunker down. That's what I had to do in Tampa. I mean, we literally sat there, waited for the storm to pass, and then we were able to go out and render aid to people. So that's why it's so important that you are, you know, following all the guidelines, keeping up with how, like, if the storm's going to hit you, if it's not, what the conditions are going to be, what Department of Emergency Management is recommending, because our response time could be delayed because of the storm. And then, you know, we're playing pickup, you know, trying to find people, trying to see who needs help. And, you know, a lot of times communications are going to be down. So you may not even be able to call 911 for help. So that's why it's so important. Like you said, you know, we get people who say, oh, I've been through them before, all this stuff. But, you know, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth, as Mike Tyson said. So just please be safe, be careful, and make sure you're, you know, getting prepared.
Good point. Let's take a final break. We'll come back with a case of the month. Okay, welcome back. Let's take a quick look at our fishing game time today, brought to us by Blue Water Outriggers in Port St. Joe. We're looking at 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock this morning, afternoon, 3:25 to 5:25. All right, Chris, you brought a couple of pictures and all. We'll start off with a real cool one here. I love this picture here because tell us what y'all are doing.
Well, one thing that we get to, you know, we get the opportunity to do as FWC officers, we get to do a lot of public outreach, and especially going and talking to kids at school. So this was at Lynn Haven Elementary. This was kind of like their orientation back to school kickoff event. So me and Officer Handle of Friends got to go. So it's a great opportunity for us to get out there and we can, you know, show off cool stuff to all the young kids, try to get them interested in the outdoors and get to meet some officers. You know, a lot of people don't even realize don't even know FWC officers exist. So it's a great opportunity. We always bring different animal parts and hides and things, and you know, get kids opportunity to touch them all, see them up close, and it's a great educational moment. So I wanted to bring that photo just to show, you know, community outreach is a lot of what we do. And if any of y'all are part of any clubs or organizations and you'd like us to come to those, you can reach out to me or our Deer Point office. We love doing stuff like that. We have cool stuff. Sometimes we can even bring live alligators. So we get to do a lot of cool stuff. I know I'll mention it again next month, but in October is National Night Out, which is the nationwide first responder event. I think it's going to be here at the college down there by the bridge. So I'll mention it again next month, but it's a great opportunity to come out. You know, we'll have all of our equipment to show off, lots of stuff like that. So you can see what we're doing. So yeah, it's always a fun time.
It's great to see a good female officer there because our girls need to see we have good, strong female officers too. So, and I've seen kids around this table here, and they are totally fascinated, reaching and looking at that. And most of them have never seen that rattlesnake skin or that skull of the turtle and all. It's cool stuff. All right, let's go from cool stuff to this one right here. Tell us about this one.
So as you can see there, there's two red drum or redfish, and not only were they not in slot, but you know, the bag limit is 1 on those, and that was at the state park. We've been getting lots of redfish violations at the state park on the jetties. So, you know, those violations, a lot of people, almost every time I stop a boat that's going for redfish, they say, hey, what's that slot size again? They are slot size. It's 18 to 27 inches. So if you are going for redfish, make sure that they are in that slot. Make sure you have a good measuring device, something hard like those check-it sticks, or you know, a nice hard surface to put them on where you can actually get an accurate measurement. And make sure you don't go over the bag limit. But yeah, the jetties at the state park, you know, it's great for redfish. We've been seeing a lot of them, a lot of people catching them, but a lot of violations, unfortunately.
And it goes back to one of the old Greek laws: ignorance of the law is no excuse. That's been in existence forever. Now this picture here, all right, this is crazy.
All right, so with this one, now if I was to tell you, this was also at the state park. There's one major violation that you see here, and those are those spear guns right there. So at St. Andrews State Park, you are not allowed to spearfish. It's a safety concern, where people are fishing, a lot of people are swimming as well. But while you are in a state park, you are not allowed to spearfish the jetties. So this individual was spearfishing. They speared a red, as you can see. They speared some snapper. And then also down there in the bottom is angelfish. So
they speared an angelfish?
They are. Why? I'm not sure. But it brings up an interesting point that I think a lot of people don't realize is, we have rules and regulations on fish that you can take. And we categorize, there's a category of fish that are called marine life. Mm-hmm. Marine life species are going to be all of your ornamentals, angelfish, clownfish, sergeant majors, things that you would see in an aquarium. Mm-hmm. Now, if you are going to be catching any of those, they have to be caught with a net. They can't be caught hook and line. Mm-hmm. And they also, what a lot of people don't realize, they have to be landed live because they are ornamentals. They're supposed to be in aquariums. They're not for consumption. So they have to be landed live. So we see a litany of violations of where people, I'll open up a cooler and you see these ornamentals, which I don't know why someone would even want to eat them, but just make sure that if you are going to be harvesting any marine life species, that you are following all the rules, because they have their whole own set of rules. Hook and line. They even have size limits. A lot of them are slot size. But we see people will be catching, cowfish, angelfish, any of those kinds of fish. So if you catch anything on hook and line like that, immediately throw it back. Or if you do have some sort of aerated, bucket or something, or on your boat, live well, something like that, they have to be landed live. And a lot of people don't realize, that that's even a thing here in Florida. Yeah. But yeah, the marine life species, you can look them up. They have their own size limits, bag limits. Basically, kind of what I usually tell people, the rule of thumb is if you pull a fish out and it's so pretty and you think it's something that should be in an aquarium, more than likely it's probably one of those marine life species. They do have booklets that you can purchase anywhere that's going to sell like Fish ID, and it's going to have those marine life species.
Yeah, just leave them alone. They're just beautiful. Look at it in a natural state right there. I've snorkeled a jetty before. It's absolutely gorgeous. Mm-hmm. I mean, you think you're somewhere in an aquarium.
Yeah, well, and if you do have an aquarium and you want to take them home, you can just make sure that you follow all the rules. You're going to have one of those little nets to swim with, and that's how you have to aquire them. So not only they have to be hook and line, but obviously you're not allowed to spear them either with like that individual did. So always make sure that you're not only looking up the size limit and the bag limit, but also if there are any illegal methods of take. Because some fish, are hook and line only. Some you can't spear, some you can spear, some you can't gig. There's all different kinds of rules.
We've run out of time again. Thank you, buddy. A lot of good information.
Absolutely.
Y'all do something good for someone else today. Enjoy the great outdoors. Let's take care of it, and God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.